All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua, Bahashem Rachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders, the bishops at Great Millstone for teaching me this truth. It's your brother Rabbi Nat coming out with a lesson, Lord's will, edifying to the Lord's elect. Okay, I'm gonna go into the news real quick. In this Johnson defense calling anti-Trump protests hate America rallies. Yesterday we had those No Kings protests. Who's Johnson? Democrats are playing Johnson on a, who the hell is Johnson? The Republican House leader said he was referring to the rhetoric of protesters. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson defended labeling this weekend's No Kings rallies opposing Donald Duck as hate America rallies, arguing that he was not referring to Democrats themselves, but the message of the protesters. So here it is. That's your First Amendment right being infringed upon by the Republican House leader. Okay, you have the right to go out. Let's see what the First Amendment is. Let's see what the First Amendment is. What is the First Amendment? The First Amendment protects 5 fundamental freedoms: religion, speech, press, assembly, and the right to petition the government. Okay, so you have the right to petition the government according to Esau's law. But what is he telling you? That's hate speech. So he's already telling you that you can't say what you want to say anymore. Okay, so that's your rights, man. That's your rights that you care about so much. He's going to be taking that away from you. All right? And it says, ratified in 1791 as part of the Bill of Rights, it prevents the government from making laws that infringe on these liberties. It protects the right to express oneself and one's beliefs, even if they are critical of the government. So that's what it is. That's in his law. Okay? So even if they're critical of the government, that's what this dude on the House of the, what do you call it? The House of, whatever the hell he called it. Johnson, the Republican House leader. It says just on this notion that these are hate America rallies, and you not only talked about anarchists and Antifa advocates, pro-Hamas wing, you said this is the modern Democratic Party. ABC News this week, co-author Jonathan Carl asked, referring to comments Johnson made last week, but I remember not that long ago what you said after the murder of Charlie Kirk, when you said that we should view fellow Americans not as our enemies, but as our fellow countrymen. I've never called anybody an enemy, Johnson said, but claimed that there were a lot of hateful messages during Saturday's protest. Who cares if they're hateful messages? Okay? When Duck calls the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans animals, we don't protest about that. We don't say anything about it. When a so-called white man goes and kills a bunch of people and he says, oh, he was just having a bad day, hey, he got the right to say that. He can say whatever the hell he wants. But when you do it, it's a problem. When you do it, it's hate speech. But when he does it, everything's okay. So that's a conflict of interest if it works for him and it don't work for you. Okay, when he say he want to make another country his take over lands and all of that. He can say whatever the hell he wants, is what I'm trying to say here. Okay? I mean, we have video and photos of pretty violent rhetoric calling out the president, saying fascists must die and all the rest. He added, so it's not about the people, it's about the message. And you're not supposed to be doing that either. But the scriptures talk about there's going to be a time. We're getting closer and closer to that time. Every day we wake up, every breath that we take, everything we do, we get closer and closer to that time. All right. 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the cause of their actions shall stand in their power. So Duck's getting ready for this, okay? Some of these other people, protesters they're getting ready for it too. because all of it's going to escalate to a point where prophecy has to be fulfilled, and this is prophecy. Okay, 2 Esdras 15 verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Okay, so you're not going to be able to go into another city. You might have it where you need some type of identification, and if you don't have no reason to go across to the next city, you're not going to be allowed to. Okay, so that's just like the slave, when we were slaves. You had to have some form of, you had to have permission to go to somewhere else. And that's what he's going to do to y'all. The same thing that happened to Israel is going to happen to you. Okay? And Esau doesn't like that. That's why he's out protesting yesterday. Nationwide protests. I watched your mayor's message yesterday. And she said Boston's going to fight. That's what she said. Okay? She said Boston's going to fight. All right, so here it is, your mayor. You know your government, your governor is aligned with her. And your National Guard, they take orders from the governor. Your police departments and your federal, fire departments, they take orders from your government. I mean, your governor. Okay, so when the duck wants to implement the Insurrection Act, which replaces the military, the police for the military, what are the police going to do? Okay, are they going to listen to their governor, or are they going to listen to the president? Because there's orders. Okay, who are they going to listen to? Well, your mayor is telling you they're going to fight. That's what she's saying. Okay, well, she has this type of rhetoric. So I kind of agree with Mr. Johnson is saying, because if I was the duck, I would be looking at this rhetoric as hateful speech too. If you don't like what the king's doing, okay, that's sedition. Okay, and that's why your governors, your kings, and your princes, they're not going to regard them. Okay, and it's starting with your these divisions in these smaller governments, the local government. Okay, it's going to be them. Certain states. She even said something about these other states, like Illinois, saying that your rights are being infringed upon. Here it is. A foreign woman is in a foreign land, all right? And she must have forgot how this land was occupied, how we came to this point, how she got the ability to even talk like that. See, these constitutional rights, they protect her. But they don't know that Esau, he about to grab his sword and he gonna go back to how he got this, okay? He didn't care about no law. And if you think he was operating under law, statutes, and commandments, you don't understand this. You don't understand the law. I mean, you could just go to Exodus the 20th chapter and see if he fulfilled that law, that America wasn't built on nothing righteous. You make a covenant, the Lord requires you to keep it. And he made many covenants and treaties with the natives of this land, and he put them to death. In Exodus 20th chapter, it tells you, thou shalt not kill. When you look up that word kill, it means murder. Who committed the most murder down here on the earth? It's the so-called white man Esau Edom. So you see how it all lines up together, showing you who the devil is for committing all the wickedness in this world, for being a adverse to the law, statutes, and commandments. That's Esau. That's who we're talking about out here. That's who we're pointing the finger to. Okay? And that's the one that needs to be taken down. And that's what we patiently waiting for, the Lord to put our enemies underneath our feet, like he did for his son. Being joint heirs with him, he's going to put our enemies underneath our feet too. Okay, but it comes with all this tribulation first. But it's the Lord pleading our cause with these heathen nations. And he's setting up these mayors and governors to come up against the powers that be. Because when it's all said and done, these different departments, they're gonna have they're gonna take away your right to be a police officer. What are you gonna do then? You took an oath to be in the police department. So all these oaths, someone needs to abide by them. Who's gonna stay true to their oath? That's what we're gonna be seeing in these last days. So no more putting the necks on so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Now your neck is going to be stepped on. And then you're going to see how you like it. Because Esau don't give a fuck about you. He don't give a fuck about his own people. If he did, y'all wouldn't be in the streets protesting. If this was just happening to so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you so-called white people would just, y'all will accept that. Y'all would just sit back and let it happen, as long as you were being treated well, just like you did in ancient times. So now that these things are falling upon you, hey, I gotta clap it up for the Lord, man. That he's putting some affliction on y'all. But the water Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahshua putting the affliction on us. Because we were able to endure it all the way up to this point. And now we see you can't endure nothing. That's the chaff, that's the wheat. That's the, that's the chaff, that's the stubble. You can't endure any affliction, you burn in it. Ultimately, you're gonna burn when these thermonuclear missiles come. But I just find it funny that the people who did the most damage can't take any affliction. And it's good that these foreign nations, especially a Moabite, Michelle Wu is a Moabite, okay? She is cussing your ass out. She's here in Boston, all right? And she's gonna continue to be your mayor, man, and it's a beautiful thing, all right? The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30. I'll start from the top. And it shall come to pass when all these things have come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whether the Lord thy God hath driven thee. Yet the blessing and the curse, we experienced them both. Okay, in Deuteronomy the 28th chapter, from the beginning to the end. We're the nation that experienced that. Under King Solomon, okay, we have 40 years of peace. Under King David, we had you heathens in subjection. Okay, so that was a blessing. And then all of that was taken away from us to the point where we don't even know who we are. Majority of us don't even know that we come back from that nation. A royal priesthood, a noble nation, a peculiar people. We're calling ourselves Black, Latino, and Native American because Esau put these titles on us. That's a curse. Okay, when your enemies can speak like about you in a reproachful way. The Lord used to allow us to destroy these enemies, man. They would never talk like the way they talk today about us. And they're not going to do that for everlasting when we go into the kingdom. But this is the time that they waited for, where they can make decisions for Yasharallah, but those times are coming to an end. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, and verse 2. And shall return to the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart and with all thy soul. You're supposed to be keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, and being obedient to the Lord with all your heart and all your soul, and your children. You're supposed to teach your children how to be a demon out here. They're supposed to know the Lord, especially if you know the truth. Okay? Deuteronomy 30 in verse 3, that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua thy God have scattered thee. He was scattered according to Deuteronomy 28 verse 64 for breaking the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay, this is a punishment to be scattered, exiled from out of your land. Now the heathen are there, and they're reaping the benefits of your land. They're defiling the land ultimately because they're wicked. Okay? But he scattered us, and we're in the midst of every nation. It says all nations. So Israel looks like all these different types of nations, but if you believe the truth, hey man, count yourself blessed, man. The Lord might be dealing with you. You might be an Israelite. Okay? Deuteronomy 30 and 4, if any of thine be driven out unto the utmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And this is where in the utmost parts of heaven. This is America. Okay? He gonna gather us from here. That's what the whole book's about. You read Isaiah the 14th chapter, it tells you he's the one that's going to bring Israel back into their land. All right? Not us. We're not going to take a JetBlue plane and go over to Tel Aviv. Okay? We're waiting for the Lord. We got to suffer these things, man. But right now, we're supposed to stand still. We're supposed to wait upon the Lord. And he's going to bring these different nations to the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which is Yahweh Shaphat, or the Valley of Decision. Yahweh's Decision. Yahweh Shaphat. Okay? It's over there in the Middle East. He's going to destroy all these nations. They're going to go gather there for World War III. And they're going to be destroyed for what they did to the nation of Israel. And he's making it happen. That's why he's systematically destroying your nation. Because this nation don't even belong to you. It belongs to dolphin creatures, owls. This is a desert. Okay? This is not for you to inhabit. Not even the beasts of this land are going to inhabit this place. It's going to be destroyed. All right? Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 5, and the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed. Your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay? Those are your forefathers, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Okay? Not like these other Christians who think they can come in and put themselves in between the Most High and his children. Okay? Only in a digital world does that make sense. This promise don't belong to Esau. Esau's promise is that he's going to be destroyed. Okay? That's your promise, Esau. Death. It tells you in Job 11 that your hope is the giving up of the ghost. Okay? Which is your spirit. All right? Your spirit is to be given up back to the Father that gave you that spirit. He gave you a spirit of being unholy, ungodly, wicked. That's your spirit. Okay? You're the wicked down here. You're the reason why there's no peace upon the earth. You fighting for something that you just can't provide. He can't even get what he sought out for, and he's stopping wars, and the Lord ain't giving him the Nobel Peace Prize. They even say they want to give it to him, and the Lord's not allowing it. That's a strike to his ego, his pride. Okay? That's his pomp being brought down to the grave. The book of Deuteronomy 30, verse 6, and the Lord thy God will circumcise thine heart and the heart of thy seed, to love the Lord thy God with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. When he circumcises your heart, that means he'll put his law, statutes, he'll have you serve him. Okay? You're going to be trying to serve the Lord to the best of your ability with a circumcised heart. Because ultimately, you can't do it perfectly until the Lord changes your heart. Okay? Circumcision is the cutting away of something. Okay? He's going to be cutting away this world away from you. So you can serve him. Because serving the Lord is adverse to serving this world. Okay? It's completely backwards. This world will have you do everything that's contrary to what the Bible says, once you have the proper understanding of it. Okay, that's why sodomites are exalted in this place. They got the highest positions, and just like you women too. Because the Bible tells you a woman's not to usurp authority over a man. So Esau sets them up in higher positions. That's why you have people like Maya Wu. Maya Wu should be keeping her ass in the kitchen. She just had a baby. She's supposed to be in the kitchen, man. All you women are. Especially your governor too. That's according to the Bible though. She said she's a woman of faith. She had ash on her forehead on Ash Friday when she was being when she went up to go answer about these immigration policies that she has in these cities. She had ash, that was on Ash Friday. She had ash on her forehead. So she claims to be a woman of faith. But she's not in the kitchen. Every time you see her on the podium, she's not with her baby. And that's where she needs to be. Not usurping authority over no man. And Esau set her up to put her in a position like that. Ultimately, it was the Lord. The Lord said he's going to set up a new thing upon the earth. A woman shall compass a man. Let me grab that as a matter of fact. Well, I'll just quote it, man. And that's why you see women in this high position. It's never been like this. In the East, women are where they need to be. And if not, if they're out of hand, even your parents will put you to death. Call it I forgot what they call it. There was a situation somewhere, the family had set up one of their daughters to get married to a man. She left, so they found out where she was and tried to put her to death and went to jail for her. Hey, you know, you don't listen to your parents. The scriptures talk about stoning the kid to death. A glutton and a drunkard. Okay? So the point of the matter is, no one here, the people here, this system that's in place is contrary to what the system that the Lord has created since the beginning. And he allowed Esau to flip these things upside down because he's the devil. Deuteronomy 30 verse 7, and the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. So all these curses in Deuteronomy the 28th chapter he's going to put upon our enemies. Who are our enemies? You read the book of Psalms, the 83rd chapter, and it tells you. It tells you who your enemies are. So there, Psalm 83, verse 1, keep not thou silence, O power, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, be not still. You know, pretty much not judging you, like it says in Ecclesiastes 8 and 11. Sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, so therefore the hearts of men is fully setting them to do evil. It's because he ain't whipped your ass yet. When you get your ass whipped, that corrects you. Because you know there's judgment. And he ain't judged the so-called white man, so now he's fully set to do evil. And that's why he's writing all these unrighteous decrees. You don't even need to open up his government and pay you. Okay? The scriptures talk about you're supposed to pay them at the end of the day. He's paying you for 2 weeks now. It's going on, about to be on a full month. And he's blaming it on the Democratic Party about Medicaid and things like that. But these are two wings of the same beast. Okay? They're both working together. It's all bullshit, man. It's just like a woman. Her mind is, scriptures talk about her heart is like snares and nets. That's what Esau is. That's why he got the red and the blue, so they can point at each other. That's how you women think, just so you don't have to take any accountability. Okay? That's why the scriptures call her a harlot. The mystery calls her this kingdom on earth. Refers to her as a woman, this kingdom. Because it's just like a woman, no accountability, lawfully concerning oppression. She wipes her mouth and says she's done nothing wrong. That's Esau. That's how he runs this system. Like a woman would run it. Out of control, out of order. And that's why the majority of you women are out of order. And that's why the majority of you are going to get put to death. Okay? Because you're not in order. The man's supposed to be over you. Okay? Psalm 83 and 2, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They make a tumult. A tumult is it's like an uproar of the people. Okay? They make a tumult, and they lifted up their head. They lifted up their head, that's pride. Okay? They think that there's a scripture that says, why leap ye healed, something like that. You can leap, but the Lord's going to exalt Israel in the end. And that's what y'all are doing now. You're leaping. But you can't leap high enough to be connected with the Most High. That's reserved for Israel. He chose them. There's nothing that they done. He chose them to be his people. He didn't choose you. So you can leap as much as you want. You're making a tumult for nothing. Okay? And you're lifting up your head against a nation that's greater than you. Okay? And you're going to know that in these last days. This is what we're talking about. This is what we're boasting in. In the power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yashada. He's going to destroy you. He's going to exalt the horn of the righteous. Okay? Which are the Israelites, ultimately. Okay? Psalm 83:3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. Yeah, they taken crafty counsel against thy people. Okay? Something that's crafty is not, you don't even know that they're doing it against you. That's what all these G7 summits are about. How to keep you in servitude. All right? The so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And consulting against thy hidden ones, yeah, you're the lost tribes of Israel. They're consulting against you. Okay? They don't want you to be a nation. They don't want you to know the Lord. Because then all of this, it gets destroyed. Everything the heathen built, all these lies, all these curses, like we read in Deuteronomy 30th chapter, they fall upon us and they get put on our enemies. And we go back to being blessed. They go back to worshiping us. Go back to bowing the knee to Yasharallah. Like that's the proper position that they're supposed to be. That's why majority of you are mourning. Because we're not in our proper place and you're not in your proper place. Spiritually, you're supposed to be subordinate to the nation of Israel. Okay? Because that's what you were created for. To serve us. The Lord put it, because we broke the laws, now we're serving you. He made the head the tail and the tail the head. And he set up over the bases of men, which is so-called white man Esau Edom. Okay? His wicked ass mindset. The Lord's starting to make him take away his royal titles. Prince Andrew got his royal titles. He don't even want to be it no more because of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Found some more information on him. He put that white woman to death that was trying to come out, you know, and tell you the type of shit she had to experience when she was 17. Took about 30, 40 years later, I think she was about 40 something, to come out and tell you about her experience. And once, there's a book coming out, Salaki, excuse me, there's a book coming out on what this devil did. Okay? And his face is on your money. Not his directly, but Edomites' faces are on your money, man. And they all do that type of shit. Okay? And they do it in wickedness. Because in all actuality, you women are supposed to marry young. You're supposed to already have a man. Okay? But he'd rather kidnap you and take you. Because he's wicked. Alright? But it wasn't like that in the ancient times. You women, your father would marry you off to a man that he deems fit, because you're property of your father. Okay? Until he decides to do the paperwork and give you over to another man. Scriptures talk about that in Ecclesiastes, the 7th chapter. Let me grab it real quick. Ecclesiastes 7. And 25. Actually, no, I started at 23. Ecclesiastes 7 and 23. As thou children, instruct them and bow down their neck from their youth. As thou daughters, have a care of their body, and show not thyself cheerful toward them. Meaning, don't be like a friend, man. You're supposed to have care for her body. Okay, you got to make sure, because women, they ain't wired right, man. Not that they ain't wired right. They, you know, they have their How can I put it? They look with their eyes. Somebody might have money, they might look good, but they don't have that discernment that they need in order to really choose a man that's good for them. That's something the woman lacks. But your father knows you. Okay, so your father will give you over to a man with understanding. It's the book of Job, chapter let me see. Job 39 and verse 17, because the heavenly Father had deprived her of wisdom, neither have he imparted to her understanding. Okay, so she doesn't understand why she does these things, because you were created to be like that. You're not in order. That's why you need a man to rule over you. Your father will give you to a man. This is what Ecclesiastes 7 is talking about. Ecclesiastes 7 in verse 24 again, as thou daughters have a care of their body, and show not thyself cheerful toward them. Marry thy daughter, and so shalt thou have performed a weighty matter. But give her to a man of understanding. Okay? Give her to a man of understanding. Give her, meaning you have possession of her. Because that's what women are. Women are a possession, according to the Bible. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to be a possession. It's better you be possessed by a righteous person than a wicked one. But you're a possession nonetheless. That's why when men went to war, we would, you were the spoil. You were called the booty. So if your nation lost, that would be their reward, would be you. Okay? And they would, and according to the ancient laws, Moses, we shave your head, mourn your parents for a month, I believe, or two, something like that. And then we go up in you. Okay? And we'll take it if we had to. All right? And that's righteous. All right? That's in ancient times. That's hard to digest because we live in an upside-down world. Okay? So you're not going to understand these things, but you should, because it's going to manifest itself again. Especially in these last times. If you ain't got a hedge, then someone's going to take you in wickedness. And that's ultimately because you denied the Lord. So you ain't going to have no hedge about you. And you're going to need a man of the Lord anyways in these last days, or you ain't going to make it. You take away your approach. It's about to get hard out here for you women, man. Scriptures talk about lamenting for the teach. You ain't going to have much. This is why you want to give it to a man of understanding. But nowadays, that's pretty much impossible. Giving her to a man of understanding. Only Elam practices that. And that's why Elam got a high marriage rate within their community. But look at their family. They be married for a long time. They're known to get married. While everyone else ain't getting married, they still practice this custom. All right, these are Israelite customs. Some of the heathen of the East still practice ways that they learn from us. Especially covering your head. You're supposed to cover your head. Being shamefaced. It's supposed to be like that. But it's hard to find a woman of it's like rubies. Proverbs 31 woman. Very rare will you find something like that. And that's what the Lord's dealing with them. But the scriptures do talk about an elect lady that's out there. So there's women out there who the Lord's dealing with. Okay? But majority of you are not even women. You're just females. Okay? Females, those of you who the Lord ain't messing with are going to die. Because of your lack of understanding. Ecclesiastes 7 verse 25, verse 26, hast thou a wife after thy mind, forsake her not, but give not thyself over to a light woman. That's going off going a little further. Yeah, we don't want a light woman, someone that's easily swayed. Dumbass. That's the majority of you women. Psalm 83 and verse 4, they have said, come and let us come. Psalm 83 and 4, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. So they cut us off from being a nation, that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. Okay? And that's all of these nations consulting, taking that crafty counsel against you. Okay, they all played a part in consulting against you to keep you in this low state. All these nations, just like how they turn a blind eye on what's happening in Gaza, they got the power to stop the shit, but they don't. So that was a consult. They consulted together for this to happen. They sit in meetings talking about this, and no one came up with a solution to help these people. That's what you're telling me? Well, the same thing happened to the nation of Israel. Okay? But they got done worse because they don't even know who they are at all. You know? So that's the nation's doing that, keeping you in that state. In that dumbass state, not knowing who you are, confusion of faces. Is what Daniel, the book of Daniel, the 9th chapter talks about. Jeremiah 17:4. And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in my anger which shall burn forever. So that was prophesied to happen. That was in the book of Isaiah. When did Isaiah what was it Isaiah discontinued from his heritage? It wasn't during the Babylonian period, because after the Babylonians, the Persians helped us build the temple. And we went back. So it can't be talking about then. Under the Greeks, the Hellenization, that's when it started. But even the Maccabees went up against them, so they knew who they were. Okay? 70 AD, the Lord knew he was an Israelite. It tells you in Matthew 15 and 24, I come not unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Okay? So when did this happen? It happened after 70 AD. All right? When you went into the innermost parts of Africa, ultimately, when you came here, this is where the discontinue from your heritage became. Okay? Through his charter school systems, started calling you all different types of Native Americans. The Catholic Church played a part in that. Right? When they re-educated they killed your families and re-educated your children. To the point where you're a full-blown damn demon now. You don't know who the hell you are. Now when you hear the truth, you reject it, you fight up against it. Because you've been discontinued from your heritage. And it's so deeply ingrained for you to be where he called you that you'll fight to keep that false identity than to receive the truth. It's traumatic. So we understand these things. That's why you're not going to see too many of us Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans out here prophesying the downfall of the so-called white man Esau Edom, because they don't have any understanding. Even though their kingdom's fallen, and he's making it fall upon itself. But he thinks he's going to make it fall systematically so he can rebuild it in his image, in a more perfect image. But it's not going to happen. All right? It tells you in Job, the 5th chapter, that's not going to happen. Let me get this in Jeremiah 16, verse 13. Therefore will I cast you out of this land into a land that ye know not, neither ye nor your fathers, and there shall ye serve other gods day and night, where I will not show you favor. And he showed us no favor here in Babylon. When your ass is getting whipped with bullwhips from a weak-ass man that's an Edomite, that's the Lord showing you no favor. You are powerless against this government. Ripping up your back, having you eat the worst parts of different types of meat. Jake was eating Jake. Fucking Esau was eating Jake. Okay? Because that's what this devil does. So, anyways, long story short, that's how you were cut off from being a nation. Okay? That's why, in 1988, called you African American. Right now, you're so dumb you call yourself Latino X. These are all new made up terms. Lord, none of these are in the Bible. None of these terms. Psalm 83 verse 5, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against me. And with one consent, they won on that. They agree on one thing, to be allies against you. Okay? Before they were given King Solomon gifts, he made a covenant with King Hiram. And he broke it. Of course he did. That's what the heathen do. But guess what? You're going to be held accountable for the oath that you broke. All these oaths you broke. The Lord's going to require it of you. Okay? We got to keep our oath. Even when there was a change of power. See how Esau does it? Under Obama, he had a nuclear deal with Iran. And now, years later, the duck is blowing up your nuclear structure. So he didn't hold true to the oath. Okay. I'm trying to get this with King David. When King David turned over Saul's servants to be killed. Yeah, 2 Samuel 21. 2 Samuel 21. Let me go there. 2 Samuel 21 and 1. David takes consecrated bread. Samuel 21 and 1, it says, Gibeonite revenge. Then there was a famine in the days of David 3 years, year after year, and David inquired of the Lord, and the Lord answered it for Saul and for his bloody house, because he slew the Gibeonites. So the Saul slew the Gibeonites. And the king called the Gibeonites and said unto them, now the Gibeonites were not of the children of Israel, but of the remnant of the Amorites, and of the children of Israel had sworn unto them. And Saul sought to slay them in his zeal to the children of Israel and Judah. Okay? Wherefore David said unto the Gibeonites, what shall I do for you? And wherewith shall I make the atonement that ye may bless the inheritance of the Lord? And the Gibeonites said unto him, we will have no silver, nor gold of Saul, nor of his house, neither of us shalt thou kill any man in Israel. And he said, what ye shall say, that will I do for you. And they answered the king, which is King David, by the way, the man that consumed us and that devised against us that we should be destroyed from remaining in any of the coast of Israel, let 7 men of his sons be delivered unto us, and we will hang them up unto the Lord in Gibeah of Saul, whom the Lord did choose. And the king said, I will give them. But the king spared Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, because of the Lord's oath that was between them, between David and Jonathan, the son of Saul. Okay, so see how oaths are being held? The Lord requires you to keep your oath. Okay? And Jonathan made an oath with David, which saved his son. Okay? And this is for another king's mistakes. within the nation of Israel. King David is the successor of King Saul. But he still had to keep the oath, unlike your government. All right? 2 Samuel 21 and 8. But the king took the two sons of Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, whom she bare unto Saul, Armani and Mephibosheth, and the 5 sons of Michal, the daughter of Saul, whom she brought up for Adriel, the son of Barzillai, and Moholahite. And he delivered them into the hands of the Gibeonites, and they hanged them in the hill before the Lord Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. And they fell all 7 together, and were put to death in the days of harvest, in the first days in the beginning of the barley harvest. So that was righteous. Those were other Israelites that Israelites gave to a heathen nation to be hung in order to keep the oath, showing you how the Lord requires it. He requires it, man. The Lord didn't account that to David as wickedness. But your government don't operate like that. They think, oh, well, he made that oath. I don't need to keep it. Hold on, ain't you the same ruler over the same nation? I mean, you gotta hold true to that. Nope, that's that no accountability. But the Lord requires that accountability. Why would he have his own people give up his own people and have them hung if he's not going to require that of the heathen nations either? When you're supposed to be as nothing. And you made the most oaths. You made the most oaths. The book of Zechariah, chapter 5. Verse 1, then I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. And he said unto me, what seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Then said he unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off, as on this side, according to it. And everyone that sweareth shall be cut off, as on that side, according to it. And you swear it. You the one who stole, and you're the one who swore. Okay? Look at this word swear from Zechariah 5. And that curse is talking about Yahweh Shai. Okay, he's the curse that's going to come, and his chariot is going to cover the face of the earth. And it's to destroy Esau, Edom. Okay, the word sweareth. That sweareth. It says Shabbat, and it says to cause to take an oath. To cause to take an oath. And that's what you did, Esau. That's how you got all this. Breaking these oaths. And that's what's going to happen in the future. You know, going back to the beginning when Duck decides to implement the Insurrection Act, you police took oaths. You're going to end up breaking them. The Lord's going to destroy your ass too. Okay? He's going to destroy you. All these oaths. Ultimately, the destruction that's coming is for you anyway. Not the police, but ultimately, all those who worship the beast. All right? With the Psalms 83, the verse 6, the tabernacle of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarim. Going to word Hagarim, talking about the Arabs. All right? Gabal and Ammon, I believe Gabal is also talking about, let me see what Gabal is talking about. I think that's talking about another Arab state too. Might be Hamites. These different African nations. Some of the Africans are Israelites though. Not everyone in the land of Ham is a Hamite. Okay, Psalm 83, 7. Gabal, a boundary, a mountainous area south of the Dead Sea, a region in Idumea. Idumea. Word real quick. The balls talk about Esau. Let me look at this root word. A maritime town of Phoenicia near Tyre, known to the Greeks as Byblos. A place in Phoenicia. So one says a place in southern of the Dead Sea, and the other one says a place in Phoenicia. So it could be Hamites. Probably Ham. And Ammon is the so-called Japanese man, and Amalek is the small hat. The Philistines and the inhabitants of Tyre, which are you Hamites. Okay, the modern day Philistines or they call them Palestinians. They're Arabs. These Philistines go back to Ham. Those Philistines today go back to Shem. Okay, so it's different people. Now it's even more. It's harder to determine who is who, more so now because there's many other nations now. But the Lord's going to bring everybody back to who they go to back in the Bible. Okay, and you're going to be known, if you're a Moabite, you're going back to being Moab. And we're going to have spiritual power to know. Because you are what your father is. Esau's technology tells you more lies. Whatever he tells you ain't going to bring you back to the book. All right? We're going to have the knowledge then. Psalm 83 and 8, Asher also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Salah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera and to Jabin at the brook of Kishon. Exactly, they got slaves. The Midianites, who Gideon. With those 300 men, there was a great slaughter in Judges the 7th chapter. Which perished at Endor, they became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb and like Zeb, yea, all her princes in Zaban and Zalmanah. And I believe that's talking about when Deborah went and slew the king in his tent, putting a stake in his temple. Okay, do unto them, meaning pretty much take out the head. Take out the head, and the head is Esau. Okay? We don't gotta go, we're gonna get all of you, but starting with him, he's the judgment. He gets taken down, and then the Lord's name's gonna be exalted again. The heathen's gonna fall into place after that. Okay, Psalm 83, verse 12. Who said, let us take to ourselves the house of God in possession? Yeah, let's take the house of God in possession. You know, they have the land. They said, aha. What's that scripture? The heathen have said, aha. We have taken the Holy Land, something like that. Where's that at? Ezekiel. I think it's Ezekiel 36, maybe. When the heathen said, aha, aha, we have your land in possession, KJV. Ezekiel 36, verse 1, also thou son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because the enemy hath said against you, Aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. Therefore prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord God, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that ye might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and ye are taken up in the lips of talkers, and are an infamy of the people. Therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord Yahweh. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh to the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys, to the desolate wastes, to the cities that are forsaken, which become a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession, with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds, to cast it out for a prey. Okay, so that's showing you the land of you Idumeans being in the land today. Amalek and Esau taking the houses of what is the read it again? It says Psalm 83 and 12, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. Okay, and that's what they have. That's what they have, man. Ultimately, it's talking about us too. Okay, we're the temples of the temple of the Most High, He's dwelling within us. Also, they have our land, our inheritance, our houses. Okay. Psalms 83, in verse 13. Oh my God, make them like a wheel as the stubble before the wind. And make them as a wheel as the stubble before the wind. Get blown away. Let them get blown away with that destroying wind, with that thermonuclear missiles. Let them get blown away. Okay. Psalm 83, in verse 14, as the fire burneth the wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. Scriptures talk about him being a burnt mountain. Okay, that's his mountain being on fire. Let me grab that as a matter of fact. Burnt mountain. Jeremiah 51 and 25. Behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, saith the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, which destroyeth all the earth. And I will stretch out my hand upon thee and roll thee down from the rocks, and I will make thee a burnt mountain. Okay, so that's talking about Esau, Edom, so-called white man. He's gonna burn your government, which is your land. Okay, he's gonna burn this place up, man. Okay, and Israel. Israel's gonna be burnt up too in the Third World War. All right, but the only difference between Babylon and Israel is that Israel's gonna be we're gonna have you clean it back up. Okay, it's gonna be rebuilt so we can inhabit it. The land needs to be cleansed for all that wickedness y'all have done there. We don't want nothing from this devil, man. Okay? Just like he did to the ancient Canaanites. He destroyed them before we went in there. We're going to do the same thing again. He's not running anything new. You should have known better. Okay? Let me get this to Jeremiah 51 and 1. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me a destroying wind, and will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land, for in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. So the destroying winds of thermonuclear missiles and the fanners are those who have nuclear capability that are going to add to the fire. Okay? It's going to start with the Medes and the Persians, and then the rest of these nations, especially Europe, and those that eat thy bread. They're going to shoot their missiles over here too. Psalms 83 and verse 15. So persecute them with thy tempest and make them afraid with thy storm. Okay, tempest is going to a storm. You know, the storm is it's the judgment. The thermonuclear missiles is likened unto a storm. Okay, you know, just like in ancient times when the Lord sent the water, it never rained before. It tells you in Isaiah 47 that thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate, because this place never been hit with thermonuclear fire, and y'all don't see it coming for some reason. Okay? It's coming, man. It's coming. You think these missiles was made to prevent war? No, they were made to end the war. They were made for the Third World War. They were made with Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. That's his army that you created. He used the heathen to create his tech to destroy the same nations that he don't want anymore. Psalms 83 verse 16, fill their faces with shame that they may seek thy name, O Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. Fill their faces with shame so they will seek thy name. You know, when Esau gets destroyed, there's going to be a lot of shame, man. A lot of shame. Following the devil. Once he destroys them, then hey, his fall is all right. So anything he's doing to destroy his kingdom, it benefits us. It benefits Israel. So the fact that he's calling you hate rallies and all that, that's good news. Okay? That's really good news. I'm glad he feels that way. But if he was smart, which he's not, he's destroying his own kingdom. He don't see himself going into slavery soon, but it's going to happen. Because that's what the prophecy says. Psalm 83 and verse 17, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish. Then that's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to get put to shame, and then you're going to perish forever like your own dung, according to Job. Okay? That's the heritage of an oppressor. You get put to shame, and then you perish. See you later. Okay? That men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, are the most high over all the earth. You're going to know that when the Lord destroys your Pharaoh. That's what he's created for. All right? That's what he was created for. Oh yeah, I want to finish one more thing. I got stuck on this precept yesterday. Book of Daniel chapter 12 verse 11, and from that time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. So when you look it up, it tells you about Antiochus Epiphanes IV, and how he set up the abomination of desolation on the altar during the Maccabean period. But the reason why we know that's not talking about that, because he did take away the sacrifices for a certain time. But the temple was rededicated. Okay, hence why you have Hanukkah. Okay? So, it's not talking about that. That was already done and over with. It's talking about, I said Titus Vespasian during 70 AD. But I didn't know what the 1,290 days was, so I had to go look it up. And I found it out watching one of the brothers. I watched the brother's video in Atlanta, the elder over there in Atlanta. I don't know his name. They were going into it, and Broke it down perfect. Perfect. That's why you got to drink out of your own cistern. I knew something was wrong because I haven't went over it in a while. But that's why, you got to watch out when you go on the internet. You always got to go to the water, man. Drink from your own cistern. Proverbs 5 verse 15. They don't really know too much about prophecy, even though that was already fulfilled. But when you do 1,290 days, it goes back to I just want to do the math real quick. 1290 divided by 365 equals 3.5. It's 3.53424,658, but it's 3.5 because it represents 3.5 years. From 66 AD to 70 AD, when Titus and Vespasian, when the Romans sacked the temple. Okay, that stopped the daily sacrifice. Because then we were going to war with the Romans. Okay? And I was looking up, did he set up an abomination of desolation like Antiochus Epiphanes? And it said that them going into the temple was the abomination because they're wicked. Edomites are wicked. The wicked are an abomination to the Lord. Let me grab that. The wicked are an abomination to the Lord. Proverbs 15, verse 26. It says, the thoughts of the wicked are an abomination to the Lord, but the words of the pure are pleasant words. Proverbs 15, verse 8. It says, the sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but the prayer of the upright, the sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination. Sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord. I forgot what precept it was. It might be the sacrifice of the wicked are an abomination to the Lord. So I couldn't find if they actually set up like a swine on the altar. The wicked are an abomination. Give me the sentence. So the sacrifice of the wicked are abomination. Sacrifice of the wicked are abomination to the Lord. And then they made it desolate by destroying it. They destroyed the temple. Okay, so that's what that's talking about. That 3.5 year period from 66 to 70 AD. Ultimately, when 70 AD hit, that's when they actually got inside the temple. And we never rededicated the temple. Okay, we left, went to the innermost parts of Africa, then the transatlantic slave trade, now we're here. And we're not supposed to rededicate the temple because the third temple is us. We being built up. It's a spiritual temple. And we're offering up spiritual sacrifices. Okay? Making our body a living sacrifice. So that's how you know it's not talking about Antiochus Epiphanes before. It's talking about during the time of 70 AD. 66 to 70 AD. Got it on that? That's it. That's what I wanted to bring up. But I'm going to end it right here. Lord's will, this is edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rechak Wadash. Shalom, Abad Babal.